Hello, and welcome back to Slightly Twisted Female. I'm your host, Brittany Rue. God, it's like there's so many things that I want to work on and focus on. Let's see, make sure my mic is turned up. And it's hard because it's hard to split my time. It felt like this was probably, as some of you know and who've been following my recent work, I recently made 2 videos on radical feminism. And it seems that anytime I make, gender critical or trans critical content, it's all well and good. But as soon as I add my insights and experiences and thoughts and critiques on radical feminism, all hell, seems to break loose and shit hits the fan. Hey Judy C. No, that's fine. I'll probably be on for a little bit. So I just wanted to talk about so I made 2 videos. I made one about radical feminism, just sort of like the history of radical feminism, and that's going to be like an ongoing video. I'm going to keep building on it, but I started with like the very root of radical feminism, its history, where it started, its sort of like most core principles. And then, I want to get into how they sort of manifest and how you apply those core principles to issues that radical feminists are facing. And then I added some of my own criticisms of radical feminism. And as I've shared pretty much from the beginning, the reason why I continue to critique radical feminism is because I think that it is currently a very fringe and a fairly inconsequential. No, I shouldn't say inconsequential. It has made really amazing progress and strides, but it would be, I think that it has been a very fringe movement, and I think that it shoots itself in the foot in quite a few ways, and I think that it's overly narrow. And I think that in its most extreme forms, the way that you would play it all the way to the end are very, very dark, like ultimate goals, right? So, I've talked about, again, radical separatism being a very important and core strategy in radical feminism, offered both as, an individual, radical separatism is a spectrum, right? It's not either you completely swear off all men and you don't deal with men whatsoever and you go and build a commune and you don't touch anything that's ever been, touched by a man or created by a man or whatever. Or you are totally heterosexual and a submissive, good Christian wife and mother who raises sons to be strong macho men and raises girls to be, good in the kitchen and perform femininity and please their man. I mean, those are not the only 2 options. And I think separatism, again, is on a very important continuum, and that women can be shown that continuum and be given blueprints for how to pursue separatism in their lives and different strategies to pursue separatism that will serve them. I think that separatism is something that every single woman on the planet should engage in. But that's not me saying exactly how. Separatism can be keeping one, if you're married, keeping one day a week that is just spent with other women. Keeping one day a week where you go out with your girlfriends, spend time with your girlfriends, spend time with, the women in your family. You spend time serving women in some way. Separatism can be giving women the benefit of the doubt. Separatism, again, can be, having all women's clubs, all women's groups, all women's sports teams, living in all women's housing. There's so many ways to engage with separatism in our lives as women. And it's important to teach women how to prioritize that, because I think a really common and very tragic scene that we see play out over and over and over is women get involved with men and become all encompassed and all wrapped up in a relationship with a man, to the point where she's not nurturing or giving time or attention to any of her other relationships. She's becoming totally dependent on him financially, emotionally. He's serves all of her needs. She's becoming financially intertwined. I mean, her entire life now, it's like he becomes such the bedrock of her life that if that were to shift, if that bedrock were to no longer hold her and sustain her, I mean, she would just fall. And that when those relationships end, or when things happen, or when things start to go bad, she realizes that she's in a very vulnerable, dangerous position now, where she doesn't have an exit strategy. She doesn't have support network. She doesn't have her own financial means or means in general to leave or to support herself. And when she does finally get away from the situation, she's got to start from ground zero and build all the way up. And it is a devastating scenario that we see women get caught in. And I think that Mimi Russ says, I love how you show that it's possible to have a strong male partner and still be an equally strong woman. This is how a healthy relationship should work. Thank you. Yeah, listen, and it's not like, and I've heard some strategies that I've heard some women say that, like, if you are going to partner with men, make sure you partner with like very, a man who's like very tiny and smaller than you and almost like effeminate or something. And that might work for some people, but this whole idea that like, I don't, oh God, it's so hard, because I feel like it's so obvious, and I don't want to waste too much time clarifying myself, because it is so obvious and clear that there are people, other content creators and whoever, who are so committed to willfully and intentionally misrepresenting my point, misrepresenting my work, that it's like, it's a fool's errand to sit there and try to be like, oh no, that's not what I meant. They know that's not what I meant. They know that's not what I'm saying. They know when they're putting words in my mouth. They know when they're whatever, and so for those who are sort of more deeply involved in this overall community, after I released my 2 most recent videos on radical feminism, which weren't directed at anyone in particular, and it's interesting that I guess some other content creators who maybe fit some of the descriptions that I criticized think that anytime I offer criticisms on radical feminism, that it's a very personal jab, or that, that's specifically about those people, as if there aren't multitudes of radical feminist spaces across the internet, and conversations happening across the internet that I might be responding to. Paulo said, Brittany, just spit the truth. We got you. I am. That's what I'm doing right now. So what was I even saying? Fuck. So anyway, so it seems, so after I made those videos, I guess I got a bunch of people like asking me, you know, like, oh, what's going on? Did you make it about this, or bringing up someone in particular? And then, so when I was released so for people who know this community well, there are a few other content creators, one of whom I originally, when I first started the scene, you know, had a good relationship with. I, you know, fundamentally disagreed with on quite a few things, but, you know, I figured that was fine. There's a lot of people I disagree with and still have good working relationships with. But it just sort of seemed like as my channel progressed and I started getting more views and support and subscribers and whatever, there was like attention. And I guess she took, you know, I mean, issue with a couple of points that I made. One being that I think that the institution of marriage, a legal marriage, is really important for women who choose to carry children for men. I just don't understand why it wouldn't make sense that if you're going to carry a child for a man and put yourself in a time when physically you are not going to be competing in your career or at your highest earning potential, and he's able to keep earning money, and that if the marriage falls apart, he's been building up resources the whole time, personal resources. You haven't, because you've been pregnant and breastfeeding and recovering from birth, that he should just be able to walk away with all of his property. How that makes sense is, I don't know. Or not even like, if there are arguments as to why they shouldn't, but why it would be such an absurd position for me to take, that women should put themselves in a position where they would legally have access to the resources that were acquired during the marriage. Again, because women contribute so much unpaid labor. It's because they're not being directly compensated for their contributions to the family, but those contributions absolutely supported the family's ability to have an income. This was something that my father taught me very, very early. Again, and I think that a lot of my beliefs and my optimism on relationships and family dynamics comes from the fact that my parents had a very good relationship, and they still have a good relationship. My father was an excellent father. He loved my mother. He still loves my mother. Me, my brother, and my sister have all had marriages. My marriage was the only one that fell apart. And it's because I genuinely believe that my husband had some predisposition to, you know, a mental, I really think he just had like a mental breakdown. And, you know, I couldn't continue in that situation. I just couldn't do it. But my brother and sister have had successful marriages, so I've seen them happen. I've been surrounded by them. I mean, God, I live in a community where most families are intact. I live in a community where most fathers are not only involved, but like deeply committed, deeply concerned. I mean, my kids, my sons are on sports teams, and they're coached by their friends' fathers, who have taken my sons under their wing, who spend all of their time outside of work mentoring kids, community building for kids, you know, spending time investing in the schools, investing in resources for the community. That's just the sort of like, you know, life experience that I'm coming from. And I think where I get frustrated with this one creator in particular, who is so on the train of, you know, men are just so dangerous and so, you know, we all have to be these extremist radical separatists, when she's not a separatist because she lives with her father. And this is significant because if she were not disingenuous, she would say, I understand the value of good fathers, Because as I've already talked about on my channel and all of the videos I have of us cooking, baking gingerbread houses together and living in harmony, and I love living with him so much that I'm still doing it as a 45-year-old woman, would say, with that being said, men do propagate the vast majority of violence. And I mean, such a large majority that you could almost say that all violence is male. Because it's virtually the truth, even when there's obviously a small percentage where that's not true, right? And that is such a significant statistic, and that is such a significant truth that we cannot ignore that as women. Because even though men are the vast majority of the are overrepresented as victims of male violence, women being the recipients of male violence is 100% unacceptable because of the fact we're not perpetuating it. Violence is not a female thing in general. It's not a female thing. So where I get frustrated with this creator who, again, seems to think that any criticism that I have of radical feminism is a criticism of her, as if she is the arbiter of radical feminism, as if she is the most... This is a woman who's been involved in radical feminism for about a year and a half, who stopped wearing makeup about a year and a half ago, who has a whole video of how I just stopped wearing makeup, who, 2+ years ago was talking about wanting to be a trad wife, who again, 2+ years ago had videos reflecting on her lost loves and her past romances and relationships, and and talking about them like lovingly and thoughtfully, but it just didn't work. We weren't good for each other. And then fast forward, when I brought that up, suddenly it's, he's a narcissistic abuser. But that's not what you were saying when you were like reflecting on the relationship. And it's not like you were still in it. This was like 2 years after the fact. This is where I get frustrated because, again, if we are going to package comments towards women, let's be honest and realistic. You cannot say, I benefit from having a father. I've benefited so tremendously from having a father. I live an upper middle class life in a healthy, strong community. And I've lived a successful, peaceful life, and I've enjoyed it so much that I continue to live with my father, and I benefit from fathers. But no, other children shouldn't have fathers and shouldn't benefit from fathers because all men are so egregiously dangerous. It's completely off the charts. That is disingenuous. When we're talking about radical feminism, when we're talking about radical separatism should be two things. One, it should be a safety net for when situations don't work out, for when women didn't have the guidance to make good partner selections, or they just didn't have the foresight. In my situation, and if we're gonna, if I'm gonna be fully transparent, in my situation with my husband who was physically abusive, there were red flags from the beginning. There was red flags from day one. If I knew then what I knew now, I would have never taken another date with him. The red flags were glaring. I ignored them because I didn't recognize them for what they were. But they were very much there. If I had been surrounded, if I had access to women who could honestly talk to me, and again, this is why also female community building is so important, because women and girls are so disconnected from other women and girls. Had other women and girls had time to spend time with us and spend time with me and him early on when we were dating, and other women knew red flags, and other women loved me, they could have pulled me aside and said, Brittany, there are some serious red flags here. That is why we need to make sure that women always have strong communities of women around them. Secondly, when women are surrounded by extended family units and strong communities of women, do you think it's going to be that easy for men to get away with being abusive? knowing that there's somebody who's keeping close tabs on that woman and that he can't get her alone in a private house where she's tethered down with kids, and he can lock the door and he can pretend to be all great and wonderful and good out in public, but he can get her home alone. I don't even think that women should, I think that and I've talked about family systems, and I was saying, I don't think that the nuclear family system is good. I think the nuclear family system is dangerous. I think that when you take two people and put them alone in a house, and you have all of the natural stressors of a relationship, and you have all of it compounded by the intense natural stressors of early parenthood, compounding by the intense natural stressors of early postpartum, and the fact, and this is a whole other thing, that the vast majority of women are suffering from postpartum depression, which is not a normal facet of motherhood. It is a symptom of a patriarchal birthing system in which mothers are separated from their babies immediately, in which they are forced to birth in front of other strangers, that causes stress. It interrupts the interrupts the bonding process. It interrupts the breastfeeding process, and it robs women of the natural antidepressants that nature has so graciously set up for us to prevent this from happening. When we keep fucking with these processes, when we keep fucking with our natural orchestration of hormones and infant bonding and early motherhood, and then throw the woman out in the world and say, yeah, go home alone with this baby that you know nothing about, with this husband who is so overtaxed and overburdened, and now you went from having two incomes to one. Yeah, go figure it out, folks. And everybody's like, oh, she's got postpartum depression? What? When women, again, are stuck at home alone to be doing around-the-clock care, which isn't even normal or natural. If we look at cultural systems from across time and culture, that has never been the setup. It has never been you've taken a woman and thrown her off alone behind closed doors and in some hut way over there with a baby, and then sprinkle in a couple of toddlers. And now a strained home economics in which you went from having two incomes to one. Life is hard in general. When you put that sort of burden on people at that time in their life, it is tremendous. To me, it's inhumane. It's insurmountable. That anybody can actually flourish under that system is fucking mind-boggling to me. And that the vast majority of us are not flourishing under that system is absolutely predictable and obvious. So, in terms of my relationship, had I had a system of women that were so deeply interlaced with me, had I not constantly been taken out of my kin groups, my friend groups, I was at college in Pittsburgh, 4 hours away from where I grew up. I had no friends who knew me. I had no family. We think that that's so normal. Let's just take people and just sever them from all of their close ties. And that, again, that's priming people so that they can become workers. So that they're comfortable with severing from their kin duties and their kinships and their family groups and their friend groups, so that they can be more disposable to the marketplace as workers. The most valuable people, again, are like people in their, women are seen as most valuable as workers early on, before they have kids and all. So let's just exploit them while we can. Let's get the most out of them. We don't want them drudged down. That's dangerous for women, period. Women need complex, multiple layers of other women around them. We need complex, multiple layers of other men. If my father had been living in my house, do you really think that my ex-husband would have ever fucking put his hands on me? Do you really think that if my brother lived here, is my one of my best friends on the planet, who loves my kids like they're his own. You really think that my ex-husband would have put his motherfucking hands on me? One thing that I can say too, that we know, as fucked up as polygamy is, something that isn't talked about is that domestic violence is actually lower in polygamous cultures. Why? Because the wives team up. If the wives know that their shared husband is an abuser and he's really getting out of control, they team up and they put an end to it. Again, what they can do about it really depends on the rest of the culture and all that sort of stuff. But other women keep people in check. Let's also not pretend that women are more likely. Lisa Fenwick said, this is why I didn't want kids, at least part of the reason. It's not a good setup. You're absolutely right. It's not a good setup. Do you know how many times I felt sick having to leave women's homes? When I would go to women's houses and I would do prenatal visits with them, where I would sit and, I always did, the standard package was 2 prenatal visits. I always ended up doing so much more. I always, it's supposed to be 2 visits, 2 hours each. I'd end up staying for like 4 hours, coming extra times. I always ended up doing more. And there were times, and even after the woman would have her baby and she's there breastfeeding, we get the baby to latch, and I would have such a hard time leaving because I'm like, damn, I'm so don't want to just leave you alone. That's not normal. It's not normal. It's not normal to just leave a woman alone with a baby and say, all right, you're good, and take off. And I remember when I had babies, and it was like I'm technically surrounded by neighbors and things like that. And it was like I could be struggling. I could be really going through it. And all I really needed was just someone to hold the baby so I could take a shower and just recenter and regroup. Because again, I loved being a mother. I still do, and I was really like, but there were times I'm like, God, if someone could just hold the baby for a little bit so I could just take a shower and be a human being and get like a hot meal and just sit down and like breathe for a second, then I can come back and I would be recharged to do it again. And I remember I would be surrounded by like neighbors and stuff, and I would go outside to like go get the mail. And I lived in a townhouse community, so we were literally like house all connected. And people are like, hey, how you doing? How's the baby? I'm like, oh, it's going great. Oh, yeah, no, we're doing good. And everyone's like, oh, it's pretty tough. And I'm like, oh, yeah, and just bullshit. Just fucking bullshit. Act like I'm just, I don't need anything. People are like, oh, if you need anything, call me. Come on. Like, what am I going to do? Call the girl that I hung out with for a couple of years in high school at 2 a.m.? Like, yeah, hey, can you come over and help me out? I'm having trouble latching this baby. When someone says if you need anything, unfortunately, it's a hollow thing. So, again, separatism is one of 2 things. It is a pause. It is a pause either before you ever get into a relationship where you can establish your own resources, build your own education, have your own things, make sure that you have a good starting point as a woman, and that will help you insulate you down the line. Or, it's like 3 things. Or it's when things have gone bad. Yeah, it's a pause. When things have gone bad and you need to get out of a situation and you're overly economically tied up with a husband, and you can go and stay in a shelter, or you can go and stay with a friend. God, I can't tell you how many different women I've had live with me. I had one girl who, again, had been addicted to heroin. She was 20 years old, and she had 2 babies that were around my girl's age when they were like little, like brand new babies. And she got thrown out of a women's shelter for getting in like an argument with this other woman. And it was kind of like, they can't throw these babies out on the street. So I had her come live with me. And again, it's like, we had a system at the time. The problem is, it's like addiction is just such a difficult beast to slay and to conquer. And she ended up, I can't make her stay clean. She ended up relapsing, and these girls ended up in foster care, and it makes me sick. Because I love these kids, and it's like, but for the time that we had each other, like, we were really taking care, like, I know what happened. She ended up going and like getting involved in a relationship with some boy. And again, it is a problem. It is a problem when women will just sever all of their relationships to go and be with a man. We need to make that not even an option. We need to make that not even an option. We need to let, like, all men should know that every woman comes with like a network of women. I don't even like the fact that we live alone in these like single family houses. All of it's bad. All of it's bad. It is so stressful. It's the same thing where it's like women who end up doing abusive things to their babies, and then when they really go through it, it's like, damn, she really was put in just an impossible situation. And it's not excusing it, but it's, but it's like, can we also recognize that resolving these issues and resolving issues that benefit men can benefit women too? Men need support too. Men need, networks too. And I'm not saying that the role of feminism, and please understand, is to, solve issues for men. But the role of feminism, if it is going to be supportive of mothers, needs to look at the family as a unit. As a unit. And then, additionally, for women who don't want to be mothers at all, and who are not heterosexually attracted, separatism is important so that there is systems and communities and structures and blueprints set up so that women can choose this without feeling they're just taking a shot in the dark. There's enough women that they know in their own lives who have chose to take, the opposite route, and to forego motherhood and to forego having children. So all right. So anyway, let me say. So I just think that it's very disingenuous that any woman, on the one hand, you have this like, oh, and let me also just like real quick, okay? Anybody is welcome to critique anything that I say. But what you are not gonna do is you are not going to put words in my mouth and call me things like lesbophobic, which is, and it's like part of me wanted to even go through and like just to even show the hypocrisy, put together a video that just shows like the hypocrisy of some of the pushback. My channel serves lesbians. I have advocated for the rights, the needs, the dignities, the perspectives of lesbians across many videos. I community build with lesbians. To say that I'm fucking lesbophobic is a fucking cop-out, and it is some left-wing, neoliberal, typical cop-out, shithole, fake-ass, sidestepping, cheap maneuver to not acknowledge or respond to any of the critiques. Okay? So, it's really frustrating. If I had said that lesbians are actively, keeping women out of feminism and no, I said political lesbians, and I'm going to say it like 17 times, I'm sure, for the people in the back. And it's funny because I don't even want to like name drop, but one of the creators who constantly also has criticisms of political lesbians, somehow when I make similar criticisms, it's a problem. I have never felt that I am not allowed to speak about something. Why? Because I am sovereign, because I have a voice, because I have a brain, because I am allowed to speak on things. Political lesbian separatism is not a term that I myself came up with. It is a term that very much existed before me. And again, it is not the same as lesbian feminism or feminism that centers lesbians. Feminism that centers lesbians is a incredibly important facet of feminism. I will continue to advocate for lesbian women on this channel so long as I have this platform. I am not the one to specifically come up with things for lesbians because I'm not one. To say that I'm phobic is to imply that I have some sort of innate internal aversion to lesbians, or that I am disgusted by them, or that I have this like natural repulsion or whatever. Ignoring the fact that I am same-sex attracted and that I have had relationships with women, I am not repulsed by female homosexuality. I have a problem when lesbian separatism becomes so domineering and so like again impossible. And it's saying, oh, but it's such a tiny, segment. If we can acknowledge that transgenderism, despite being a minuscule portion of the population, can have such an impact and almost become like a bullying sort of factor who everything needs to be designed and reshaped in their image, we can also acknowledge that there is a tendency for political lesbianism to dominate and become this very bullying force in feminism. The fact of the matter is, much like everyone's so afraid to critique transgender and transgender ideology, because again, transgender ideology is even different than actual transgender people themselves. And that's another thing that's important. It's the same thing that political lesbianism is completely different from lesbian women themselves. Not all radical feminists who are lesbians are political lesbians. Like I feel like I've said this like 40 times now. And again, and I understand that some people are going to be so committed to misrepresenting me because they either don't like me, they don't like my politics, they don't like whatever it is. And that's fine. What's frustrating is when I know that people who, no offense, are less diligent in researching and actually listening to what I said are going to take some people's word for it. And that's fucking annoying. I can always tell when someone didn't watch my full video before they decided to comment. Or I can always tell when somebody just heard a snippet and then decides to, give a whole analysis of something that they never even listened to, and it's frustrating. Political lesbianism dominates the discourse of radical feminism to the point that I cannot even advocate for, again, if I'm advocating for motherhood, yes, lesbian motherhood exists. It is a teeny tiny fragment of mothers. So should we that's not what I'm talking, and that's not even true, because actually I have lesbian mothers who follow me and who constantly tell me that they're grateful for my work, constantly tell me that they are grateful for the ways that I've centered mothers, and who felt like they were a black sheep in lesbian feminist circles because they were treated as if they were somehow, impure or lesser, and felt like they were really, really either shamed or overshadowed or ignored. It's hard because it's I want to figure out the best way to even acknowledge. There's so much shit. I almost wanted to compile screenshots and just respond to some of the dumb shit. The 3 people that everybody's been asking me about, oh, what do you know with them? I didn't make any videos originally about them. Again, despite their high opinions of themselves, they are not the only people in radical feminism. They are not the only people with who are pushing some of these things. When I'm critiquing people, they are not the only people that I'm responding to. I have not listened or watched a video from LM since December. The only thing that I watched of hers since then was the one short on, I guess, Leah Thomas, and I reposted it to my community tab, and I said, despite our differences, this is an excellent video. It's an excellent short video. Go check it out. That's it. I am not offended when people disagree with me. That's okay. That's okay, right? I don't, and I never try to cut somebody's Achilles out from under them. I might feel strongly, if I see something that I feel strongly about, I'll go and respond in my own work, and I won't call them out or whatever, but sometimes I'll just make a rebuttal. I think that's the way to do it. You make a rebuttal. And I talked about this during the whole ASlightlyTwistedXX thing, when she was being attacked and people were doing all this weird stuff towards her. I'm if you don't agree with her, just make a rebuttal. There was a group called Gender Critical Thinking, and it was 4 women who, when the whole case thing was happening, the complete androgen insensitivity syndrome debate was going on about whether or not they were women. People were doing really cruel and messed up things towards her. I said, just rebuttal. Just make a response. It's okay. We're all intelligent. We're all adults. We can be passionate about things, right? And it doesn't need to get personal. And there was a crew of 4 women who got together and they did just that. They made a rebuttal video. Everyone was passionate. There was one person in the video who did make a few ad hominem comments about ASlightlyTwistedXX, and we all called it out. The other ones just had very firm and passion comments and responses to what ASlightlyTwistedXX said. The fact that ASlightlyTwistedXX was deplatformed for her well-reasoned view was just messed up and wrong, and I would never in a million years support that. For women that I don't agree with. And that's why I had also put up that one video that quotes Kelly J. Keene that said, if I don't agree with a specific woman, and if I don't like her work, and if I think that her work is even harmful to the movement, whatever, I won't go and personally disparage that person. I won't go team up with a bunch of people. I won't send, God, it's I don't, I want to call somebody who follows their channels. Anytime something like this happens, shows up on my channel and starts saying the most fucking disgusting things to me that I've ever seen said, and it's somebody that they like, and they'll pin this person's comments under their videos. This person comes over, will degrade me sexually, call me names. This is the person who degraded my dead nephew. Fucking sick stuff. I don't, I want to call somebody when I had gone on to just see what was going on after all like the hubbub and all this sort of stuff onto LM's channel, I saw a comment that was made to her that was fucking disgusting. Somebody said, you must be miserable that you can't get a relationship or something, and you're just jealous that all these other women can attract men and you can't, so all you have is to be jealous. And it was fucking gross, and it made me angry. I don't even like her, but that stuff is not okay, period. I can make work that will rebuttal something I disagree with. I don't take this stuff personally. Why? Because I have real friends, real family, and a real life. If I disagree with somebody on the internet, it's all right. If nothing else, it motivates me to come back with a better rebuttal. It motivates me to go and make better work or whatever. You know, to see it as like a healthy competition sort of thing. But going in between channels, saying disgusting stuff, making just vile, degrading, yeah, guys, stop. Okay, just stop. So Atlantic Turtle says, I associate political lesbianism with the idea that women can choose to be a lesbian for feminist reasons. Yeah, but I think that homosexual women absolutely can be political lesbians. It's like, again, it's seeing, you know, I think a political lesbian is anybody who treats their sexuality as like a political tool. You know, who advocates our sexualities as some sort of political tool. And I'm sorry, I just think it's weird, and I think it's anti-woman, and it's weird. So yeah, no, I think that absolutely homosexual, bisexual, and heterosexual women can all be political lesbians. I think, like I've talked about before, this whole hyper obsession over like gold star lesbianism, worrying about who other women have slept with. Oh, you're really let's all like come around and discuss and elevate gold star lesbians. What the fuck? Ew. Like, guys, get a life. Get a life, okay? This has got to be bigger than like Tumblr squabbling. This has got to be bigger. I don't have time. I have so much other shit going on in my life. I don't have time for the stupid fucking squabbling. When I was playing my video on separatism, a bunch of people, I guess it got shared to a Discord server, and I can always tell when that happens. And you think as a creator, I don't notice things. I do. I know everybody in my community, and I know everybody who's in my live chats. If I see a bunch of random new names show up and that are like challenging me, I know that the video probably got shared somewhere and they're like rallying people to come. I'm not doing it. If you want to come in good faith and actually say stuff, you're more than welcome. If you're going to come to fucking try to railroad my channel and railroad the topic and do a bunch of weird shit, beat it. Because I'm not with the fuck shit, okay? I'm not doing it. And I'm not afraid. I'm going to say what I think about stuff. Calling me a phobe is a cop-out, and it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Saying that I center the objectification of women in my feminism is a fucking bullshit move. To LM, who sometimes, you guys, it's like I've got to not read stuff because I know myself and I'll want to like respond, or I know I've got to conserve my energy and I don't want to get too sidetracked. So sometimes I don't read things. Sometimes even, and I've got to stop doing this because I do this, and I've realized after going back that I'll end up like overreacting, or I'll react to something that isn't what the person was trying to say. Sometimes if I know that I'm going to get pissed off at a certain comment, I will skim it. I won't read the whole thing because I want to conserve my energy. I've got to stop doing that on my own channel because there's been a few times where I either overreacted or I reacted to something that like wasn't their point. because I didn't fully digest their comment. And that's wrong. I don't like, I guess 2 posts recently have been made in response to me lately, or more. One of them, I guess, was on Benji's channel. I didn't read it again because it's like, I don't want to get pissed off. And then it's like, I don't want to go and like feel like I need to do a big response. I got the gist of it. First of all, when Benji came during my stream, and I'm just, I considered reaching out and be like, hey, Benji, here's my email address. If you'd like to reach out, we could talk about this. But, sometimes I don't feel like taking the higher road every time. It's like, because I've tried doing it in the past. Listen, I've always liked Benji's work. I don't have a lot of time to watch other content creators work. Benji was one of them that I like routinely would tune in to watch because I felt like she was a really neutral person, and I felt like she educated me a lot on lesbian feminism. And I thought that that's where I needed to strengthen my understanding of women in general. Because I don't know a lot of full-blown lesbians in my life. I don't have a lot of interpersonal connections with lesbians. And this was helping me understand and understand what the needs are. And when I can advocate for lesbians, I'm not making shit up. I'm usually taking things that I've seen other lesbians talk about and use my own voice for it, because I really don't think it's my place to say what lesbians need, but I'm more than happy to amplify what other lesbians are saying that they need. So I really liked following her work. And she had come on, I guess, like a long time ago onto one of my videos and was like, hey, like your work, great job. I was like, hey, thanks so much. Because again, she was established before I was. I was like excited to see. I was like, oh my God, it's GNC centric. Cool. I was like, hey, wow, thanks. Thanks for like stopping by and like acknowledging my work. That's really cool. I love your work too. And that was it. So I used to, watch a lot of her live streams and stuff like that. And I just noticed, and it was clear that it wasn't like accidental. Over time, it was like she would make a point to not acknowledge me. And I would comment, I would interact with other people in the stream, and she would go through and like read comments in the stream and always skip over my comments. Like she would go through and like read all the comments one after another and skip my comments. And the first like 5 times I was like, oh, I don't think it's personal. But then like after a while I was like, yeah, maybe she just doesn't like me for whatever reason. Fine. I actually, even when I like knew it was pretty obvious that she didn't like me, I was like, that's fine. People don't have to like me. My sense of self and my self-esteem is not so tied up in other people liking me. I can still value their work. I can still, whatever. I can still get stuff out of them. And also, I know that if a lot of times if people don't like me and we've had no real interactions, then they not liking me is probably nothing to actually do with me personally. So, sorry, I was just reading the comment. I'm sorry, I'm so bad at going between you guys. I'm glad that you guys are like talking. I'll go through the chat in a minute. Whatever. And I also thought maybe like, and I know that like she had posted a lot. She goes, I sent her lesbian women, and she goes, and then the one thing that I thought was really weird, and I'm just going to call it out. Okay, and everyone's going to get mad, and this might create a whole new fucking shitstorm, but I'm just going to call it out because, again, it's just this whole being fake online is just getting, like, weird. Just stop with the fake shit. She had posted something that was, I think this is when I finally was like, all right, I think I'm out of here. She had posted something where she was like, I only sent her lesbians. I don't, I'm not going to waste my energy or my time or my feminist activism worrying about, bisexual women or het women. Sorry, like something, and if that's a problem with you, you can go. Some like weird, like little short video. And I was like, Benji, you're a bisexual woman. You lived as a trans man for 7 years and you were like a gay man. What are you talking about? And the thing that I think, and here's why I think I don't normally comment on women's like private lives or sexual lives. And I'm only going to comment on things that they've shared on their feminist platform. You know, I think anything that we share on our feminist platform is sort of fair game to critique, but keep it tasteful. You know, I'm not going to share it. I know I just had this conversation with my girlfriend who I live with. I'm not going to share anything on my platform that I know is going to really piss me off if I see it. That's why I'm not going to share pictures and videos of my kids, because if one of you says something about my kids, it's going to be a fucking problem, right? So I'm not going to do that. And I'm also not going to go dig. If someone's not sharing something on their platform, I'm not going to go dig it up just so that I can like drag them. But if you're going to share it on your public feminist platform, then I think it's, oh, Apollo, thank you. From the little I've seen here, I really like productive heterodoxy in these chats. Thank you. I don't 100% know what that means, but hopefully it's a good thing. Thank you so much. All right, guys, and the support means a lot to me. I've been accused of like being called somebody who's trying to create divisionism, and I don't think I'm creating the divisionism. I feel like I'm exposing it. Okay, a lot of the divisionism existed long before I got here, and I do think that there is this like liberal pecking order of people you're not allowed to criticize, and I'm sorry, but lesbians are one of them. It's the whole LGBT. That's why no one will criticize trans people. We're not allowed to say anything, but and I just sit there and you watch all like for like RR Radical Rambling says some of the most like weird, bizarre shit about heterosexual women, and you get all these like, you know, noodly like women be like, "Hi, I'm heterosexual, but yeah, I agree, like we all suck." And it's like, and that's why I preferred Benji's work over Radical Rambling's work, because I felt like Benji's work, rather than just putting down heterosexual women and like talking about how, oh yeah, they're all, you know, oh my god, like you're all whatever, just like a really kind of childish whatever. I felt like Benji's work was more centered around centering lesbians and uplifting lesbians. I feel like when she really changed is when she started to like link up with the whole Lisa and Radical Ramblings thing, and then she started to get real like the whole like snobby in group, like, yeah, disgusting, these spy hets, yeah. And it's like, again, it's like, Benji, you're a bisexual woman, and that's okay. But where I do think it's not okay to say that you're a lesbian woman, because it sends a message that lesbians like dick, that lesbians can like dick, that some lesbians like dick, that some lesbians will sleep with men, some lesbians are attracted to men. No, they're not. And you're doing a disservice to lesbian women by saying that. That's literally what we're fighting against with this whole trans bullshit. It's a reason why I don't say that I'm super straight, even though really, like, and you want to call me a bi-het, that's fine, because I know they're saying, oh God, sexuality is not on a spectrum. I think I prefer men. I've had sex with women, and not just in the context of a threesome. I'm not just doing it to show off for a man, but I mean privately together, behind closed doors. I've dated women. You know, I've had relationships that just none of them were as serious as the ones that I've had with men. I like heterosexual sex, so I like both. I'm not going to call myself, you know, I've considered like maybe I just need to call myself straight. I've been accused of like saying I'm bi to get points or something. Like, what? No, I'm fucking 34 years old. I don't need to be cool. I don't give a fuck. Ask my kids. I tell them all the time, like, I don't need to be cool. I don't need to be your friend. I need to be effective. I don't need to be popular. I don't need to be like, you know, the cool mom. I need to be the good mom. I don't need to be the cool, popular, in-group feminist. I need to be the feminist who's fucking getting shit done and pointing out the difficult things and saying the difficult things. Yes, do I, you know, poke at things that it's like we're all supposed to not talk about or say or mention? Yeah, maybe, because I kind of feel like that's the whole point. Let's bring up the things that haven't been talked about, that haven't been discussed. We can do so respectfully. We can do so respectfully. You're going to sit there and talk all of this shit on motherhood and women who choose to be motherhoods, and I'm not allowed to respond? Huh? How does that sound? Huh? No. Like, no. If you're going to say stuff that I know is actively damaging to women who are mothers, that is promoting like a viewpoint that I know is damaging to women or mothers, I center mother, just like you center lesbians in your feminism, I center mothers. And I'm not going to sit here and bow down because I'm so afraid of being, politically correct. I don't give a fuck. This is the reason why I have a gender critical channel. Sorry. I'm not, like, I have real friends. I don't depend. If every single person, like, on, like, the internet turned on me and said, yeah, fuck Britney and her channel and the whole thing tanked, I'm still okay. I have real friends. I don't say things to be cool. I don't say things to be mean. I don't say things to be anything. I say things because I feel like it's stuff that needs to be addressed. If I'm wrong, check me. I've acknowledged that I've been wrong multiple times. If I say something out of anger that I later reflect on and say, you know what, I didn't really mean it like that, I will come back and apologize. I don't give a fuck about being cool for, no offense, internet randos. Being the deeply uncool bisexual is fine, but yeah, I don't give a fuck. And no offense to all the, like, all the women who think there and talk about all it on, what's everyone laughing about? Lisa said, I'm exactly the same way, which is why I call myself straight and don't date women, even though I could. Oh, man. Lita said, what's even going on? Oh, God. So, just to real quick backtrack. I'm sorry, this, like, streams all over the place. Because I don't even know where to begin. It's like such a long history, but I'm just responding to after I made my separatism video, which again, it's like I can't tell if people are just like really, really committed to misunderstanding me or if they're whatever. I said I support female separatism. Then I'm getting all these comments like, oh, well, why would you say that separatism is bad? I'm like, oh, what? Literally, the first half of the video was me advocating for separatism as a necessary and crucial, agenda of the feminist movement. And not only is it crucial, it is the most important. I'll just say this for everybody. And if you guys want to, why don't you go ahead, press record on your devices, and keep this clip in all of your phones. Post it everywhere. Loop it. Remix it. Make it into a dance hall hit. I'm going to say it one more time. Female separatism is the single most important feminist agenda of this movement. Say it again. Female separatism. Creating the blueprints for it. Publicizing it. Protecting it in law, creating spaces to support it, creating networks to support it, discussing it, sharing it, shitting it all over the world, all over the place, on every single woman, is the single most important goal of the feminist movement right now. It is more important than abortion. And I had to sit and really meditate on that. When the whole Roe versus Wade thing came. But it is more important than abortion. Because within female separatism is the definition of women. We need to define what a woman is so that she can be allowed to be separate from men. If we can't define what a woman is, if we can't agree that women deserve to have spaces that are free and separate from men, and that should have spaces that are free and separate from men, and should have systems and Mitch fests and all of that sort of shit that are free and separate from men, lifestyles that are free and separate from men, we cannot achieve anything else that is to the benefit and liberation of women. So, with that being said, while female separatism is, again, at all levels, even to the point I promote buying an island, calling it, women or something, literally surrounding it with a moat of lava and sharks and alligators and spikes and special radar devices that can detect Y chromosomes and execute any man who trips past, a certain point, like Area 51, on site. I even promote that. I think that is excellent. At the highest level, I support and would fight to protect female separatism. At the highest level, I support the hardcore, crazy, lesbian-only, female-only, separatist communes. Just like women have the right to self-segregate, lesbians have the right to self-segregate. Lesbians can go and have their own communes where heterosexual and bi-hets and whoever else aren't allowed in. That's cool too. I support that. I'll fight for that. I will go door to door on every legislator and demand that you have that right. Okay? So, I don't want to hear that you don't understand why would you think that it's bad that women have access to it? Stop it, because you're either not listening to what I'm saying, or you are, and you're purposely trying to misrepresent me, knowing that your little friend, followers and stuff aren't going to take the time to actually go listen to what I said, and they're just going to take your word for it. Stop it. That shit is not okay. What is a problem is when we treat female separatism as the personal core goal of every woman, and that any woman who deviates from that is like some kind of an idiot, and that feminism's only goal is female separatism. Feminism's only goal is not female separatism. If we had not seen a total decline in the family system structure, first of all, if extended families hadn't fallen apart, we wouldn't have been stuck with the fucking nuclear family. And we wouldn't have been stuck with women being, like housewives tethered to their homes and binging on Prozac and boxed wine. If the nuclear family hadn't begun to fall apart even further, we wouldn't have this whole system of kids seeking families elsewhere. It is like a God-sized hole. When children don't have families who care about them and who protect them and who have them interwoven, guess what? They're going to find that family somewhere else. You know who it's going to be? It's going to be that fucking Jeffrey guy from TikTok saying, "You're my family now." Why do you think we have this whole grooming problem? Because the family system is falling apart. And you want to say that mothers are inconsequential? You want to say that promoting healthy families for those who can achieve it and those who are committing to achieving it and creating systems that can support that is anti-feminist? Oh, what? And especially when you live with your father, shame on you. Especially when your mother and your father live together and you've benefited from that and you live in a beautiful beachside home in Connecticut, shame on you. Shame on you. So you get to benefit from having a relationship with your father, who you say is your best friend, who you bake gingerbread cookies for. But you want to sit there in silence and push away any other feminists who want to help try to create that pathway so that other women can have that, so that other little girls can grow up with their father and bake gingerbread cookies with their father? Your parents are still married. Shame on you. Shame on you. Fuck out of here. And you guys think that you're going to build a coalition against me? You're going to all team up and you're going to go to your little Discord server and share my videos and send me with a flood of people? And what, it's going to scare me away? You fucking think that I do gender critical work because I'm scared of people getting upset? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Right outside of this door is my best friend. That's That's who I'm going to go kick it with later. In about 30 minutes, I'm going to pick my kids up and I'm going to completely forget about my channel for the next 5 hours. Because I'm going to enjoy my kids and we're going to go garden. And I'm going to spray them with the hose while they like laugh and scream. Because that's what we like to do. And I'm going to enjoy my life for a little while. I'm not going to be devastated that come on, you guys. Stop with the fake shit. Stop being fake. Fake shit is dangerous. It's fucking dangerous. And you advocate on fake shit because you want to score points in a community. It's bullshit. Radical ramblings. If you wanted to center lesbians, center them. Why do you always need to talk about, heterosexual women? How many heterosexual women have rejected you that you're like this upset? Let that hurt go, sis. Let it go. Let it go. This is why I liked Benji's work. And now you guys fucked Benji up for me too. Because ever since she started chilling with you guys, then she's like turned into like... The reason why I blocked Benji, for everybody who's been so up my asshole about it, was because everybody started to come into the stream and getting in my face and challenging me and da-da-da-da-da. And there's one other person who makes 50 million fake accounts, and I know who it is, to harass me. And it's somebody who like is all in their whatever community. And I think it's great. And I think it's great that they have each other. But you're not going to come onto my stream and railroad me. Benji, you came in and you're like, hey, everybody, how's it going, guys? I love radical separatism. I can't wait to talk about this topic. Don't you dare come into my space acting that arrogant. Like you're going to come in and monitor me and things that I say and make sure that I'm saying the right thing. Come into this space respectfully. Share your views. Challenge me. Speak your mind. But don't come here on some arrogant shit. I'm not with it. I'm not with it. You're not going to sit here and like act dominant over me in my own house. Okay? I never did that to you on your streams. I never came in and was like, I'm going to come challenge you. Oh yeah, what's going on, everybody? Hey, I'm here. No, I never did that to you. Even when you're talking about things that I disagreed with, fuck, a lot of times I don't even like say it. It's not, if I really disagree about something, I will just make a video later. Benji, I love your work. I like your work, your pure work, your conversations with Rachel. Your readings have been, first of all, Benji, your readings have been very helpful to me. You know why? Because I'm a mother and I don't have time to sit down and read. But you know what I can do? I can play your videos while I'm cooking and I can learn stuff. You've created a resource that helps me and helps other women like me. And I'm deeply grateful for that, and I've benefited from that, and I thank you for it. I remember when I was setting up for my daughter's 5th birthday party, I was literally hanging up streamers and listening to you talk about your transition. It was like one of your earlier videos, and I was crying listening to you. I was so moved by your story. I loved hearing from you. You have such valuable input. Such valuable input. But don't come at me like you're going to check me on my own channel. Don't come at me like you're going to come and manage my... Never. You've never interacted with me. You've never acknowledged me on your streams. You skip over my comments. Even when you would post stuff and I would be the first person to respond, I was like, hey, just so you know, like when you were getting into that whole thing when you were fighting with, what's her name? The one who was on, Joey Bright. I was one of the first people to respond. I said, hey, listen, I don't know who this is about, but I just want to let you know I support you. And I respect your right to speak up. When Dragon Kid again had expressed that she disagreed with just using detransitioners' pictures without their consent, that it was sort of like, sexually degrading, whatever, and I thought it was a really legitimate point. And then Joey got really defensive, and then you defended Dragon Kid again. I said I agree with you. Even when I learned about it, I was like, oh no, that's legitimate. Yeah. And I was one of the first people to say, like, I support you and whatever. You responded to every other comment on that thread, and you ignored me. I'm not stupid. I've lived for 35 years. I know when somebody's like purposely, not acknowledging me. I know when someone's blackballing me. Did I ever say anything? Did I ever, go and be like, oh, Benji sucks? No, I still followed you. I just stopped speaking in your live streams. I like your conversations. I like your input. I wasn't even going to like specifically respond to this, but that's what it was, okay? You're welcome back onto my stream. You're welcome to challenge me. You're welcome. I'll go live with you if you'd like, and we can have a conversation. Don't disrespect me in my own space, okay? Don't come on some like aggressive energy. I can feel it. I can read it. You're not doing it in my house. You want to talk all the shit you want about me over there. Go live stream with Lisa. That's the person to go to. Yeah. Sorry. I'm like scared to read the chat. I'm like scared that you guys are all mad at me. Oh God, I don't know, you guys. I had important work to do. There's too much. Listen, I never was into like Tumblr and shit like that. I'm not with the back and forth. I'm not, I think to a certain extent, a little bit of back and forth is good because it motivates us. It motivates us. It's good. I personally, and I'll admit this, and you know what? Maybe I'll acknowledge it to, even with like the whole Lisa thing, it was like when she was like really coming at me over like the makeup stuff, and constantly sniping at me like in my comments section, and I could tell when she was like, stop, fucking with me too, whatever, and I left it alone. When all of that was going on, I use it as motivation. That's why it really resonated with me when what's her name? Posey Parker had said, she said, if you don't like me, or if I don't like, or she said, if I don't like what another woman is doing, if I don't like what another woman is saying in this movement, I am not going to go out and disparage that woman or try to, cut that woman's knees out. What I'm going to do is I will simply eclipse them. I will eclipse them. I will focus on myself, and I will use it as motivation to just do better, go harder. And then Posey said, and eclipse them, I damn well will. I think a little friendly competition is a good thing. I think disparaging my dead nephew, who I never spoke about on this channel, but who your follower, whose comments you liked to pin, went and looked up and scrounged up my private Facebook that I didn't realize, where I had one post on there that was public, that was talking about the memorial for my 3-year-old nephew who drowned, and decided to use that to like attack me. What kind of deranged, happy, well-adjusted, normal people don't do stuff like that? Happy, And again, it's like, rather than spend so much time talking about how women are so stupid for using makeup, and oh my God, they're so just, they don't get it, and oh, they just want their Nigels to like them, and they're so desperate, and going on and on and on about how much you hate women and you think they're all infantile idiots. How about just as like, maybe a little strategy, just shift. You don't have to take my advice, but maybe instead of focusing your, theory on shaming women and just like obsessing over the choices of women, show how not wearing makeup has been wonderful for your life and how much happier you are, and set a good example and talk about, hey, listen, it took me some time to really fully let go of makeup, but once I did, I felt better, and here's why, and I don't break out. And here, there's this really great reading called The Beauty Myth that I want you guys to know about, and I support you, and let's have a little live stream that's talking about how we can begin to let go of makeup in our lives. And for women who have chosen to like not take that path, hopefully you guys can just listen. But it's like, again, instead of focusing so much on like, I've never heard of what, like, I mean, you've got to have really low self-esteem to be like, wow, these women have shamed me into like submission. Yeah, let me like, And somebody came on the live stream and was like, we're not telling you to leave your family. We're just trying to, asking you to think about how it impacts other people for once. Huh? How me having a stable relationship and taking good care of my children impacts you? Well, it impacts you guys pretty well, because it means that my kids are going to be respectful. I help take care of other children. I've created a space for other family. Like, I'm doing my part to have like a stable, good, what? And also, just like for the record, I'm not into the Marxist shit, okay? I'm not into the like, we've all got to get down to the lowest common denominator for class revolution. Karl Marx was a fucking misogynist. Every Marxist movement that is incarnated has been fucking terrible for women. You're insane if you think applying Marxism to help women is a good idea. Yeah, and this is just what happens when like these echo chambers get more and more pathogenesis. And when I was talking about like it turns into horseshoe theory, again, when women are talking about, oh, we're going to have pathogenesis when women just reproduced asexually, that's the way. Like, that's transhumanist. The further we get away from natural processes is the same thing. Like with all of the benefits that baby milk formula gave us, with all the benefits that baby milk formula gave us, the reciprocal problems that came with diminishing breastfeeding rates manifested in more postpartum depression for women, because what we didn't understand was breastfeeding is an antidepressant. Breastfeeding literally stimulates hormones in a nursing mother's brain that fights against postpartum depression. So yes, when maybe women were able to now get back to work more quickly, because, God forbid we let them stay home and bond with their babies. Soon as that baby's 6 weeks old, let's make sure that mom's back to pumping in more hours at the corporate job. Great, now we've got an artificial milk. Here you go. Hope it's not tainted with, those Chinese poisons like all those other babies who died that one time. What we didn't understand when we did that was that breastfeeding is a natural antidepressant. And then we're all wondering why mom's having, complete mental breakdown, and then the dad doesn't even know how to like manage it. And a family's falling apart. So when we try to come up with all of these techniques and ways and around our natural human just design, Yeah, let's get pathogenesis so we can asexually reproduce. Guys, stop. What the fuck? How is that? Stop it. Like, what is this just like the weird hours of the internet, or are we actually trying to get like shit done for real women? Because it just really sounds like some of you have just never interacted with women off the internet. Like, that's how out of touch with like real women's needs some of you guys sound. You know? And it's like, yeah, and all the like, again, all the like heterosexual women, a lot of you guys are leftists, and so you're so afraid to like, speak up, and it's like you get like radical ramblings who just goes on and on and on about all this Tumblr just type shit. And it's like, and again, all these spineless women in there, like heterosexual women, like, yeah, women who partner with men and have babies are stupid. Like, okay, guys, cool. And if you want to do that, fine. But like, literally, fuck off, though. Just fuck off, okay? I have other shit that I'm trying to get done. Yeah. I hope I don't regret this video later. Capitalism's a problem too. Listen, they're both a problem. Capitalism's a problem too. But no system has ever improved the material lives of women more than capitalism. Not to say that there is not a very dark, deep underbelly. And it is capitalism allowed for globalism. Globalism is terrible. It's terrible for women. It's terrible for the environment. It's terrible for children. It's terrible. It's terrible for everything. Local structures, local food production, local family units, all just localize. Limit our consumption, build sustainable things, lessen our impact. Yeah. I should do a whole video. Oh, by the way, heterosexual sex is physiologically healthy for women. That's not saying that lesbians cannot get the benefits of heterosexual sex. Our bodies don't know whether it's a penis or a dildo. But there are, again, so to say that women should just forego heterosexual relationships when they don't want to, again, there's a difference between offering it as an option for women who really are just done with men, done with dating. That is important. Trying to like, oh yeah, these women and they're too obsessed with their Nigels. Like, how old are you guys? Not only how old are you, but how bitter are you? Sorry, but literally, some of it really sounds like, hey, I've been rejected by these type of women, and so now I'm just pissed. And I've had people admit that to me. Is it because you really care about women? And it's like when so much of your work is centered around just criticizing women themselves rather than like the systems. Is it because you hate women? Who do you hate more, men or women? You gotta pick one. So then they all got together and were made fun of. I guess it was on like, I don't know if it was Lisa Michelle or whatever. We're laughing at how I said that motherhood is harder and gets more hatred than female homosexuality. Sorry if some of you guys are going to get angry at that, but I stand by it. Mothers are more hated, more just, again, and when we get these sort of like recognition, like Mother's Day and a Mother's Day card, and oh, mom's a superhero, that's not love, that's not respect, that's more of like, yeah, let's just, pat mom on the head so she doesn't keep asking for stuff. Let's throw her a little like token of appreciation so that we don't actually have to do the work to make life better for her. Okay, let's be clear. As a female homosexual, once you've been systemically, integrated. You can continue to fight for stuff, whatever, but no, there is a much more complex system of needs when you're a mother, when you have multiple layers of people who are dependent on you. Okay? Again, I can't just get up and go get any job that I want. I can't just get, you can just not mention that you're a lesbian. I can't just, if I go under, also another thing is, you know what I always said too, once you're a parent, you don't have the luxury to fall apart. When I went through cancer, when I went through different things, when I was going through stuff with my ex-husband, I never got to just go and like milk my, or go and care for my wounds. I never got to just go lay down and just, oh God, and take, and center self-care and take care of myself. I had to get back up and I had to keep going. I had to make sure that my kids didn't know what was going on. My kids don't know that there was ever abuse between my husband and I. One thing I'll say, and thank God, he never did anything when my children were home. And so the second they walked through that door, I had to smile and pretend like everything was so perfect and great, while I am in the back of my mind planning an exit strategy. I couldn't just leave him. What makes it so complicated is when you have children. That's why we need to create systems. So for Lisa Michelle, Radical Ramblings, fucking, Dragon Fox 2.0, Mary Jane, with all due respect, if I have to hear from you one more time how I'm not a feminist, and you don't seem like the sharpest knife in the box, so I'm going to try to go easy. Sweetheart, you're on a carousel of commenting on YouTubers. That's your big contribution to feminism. If you're going to say that somebody like Kara Dansky, who wears foundation, concealer, and mascara, isn't a feminist because she hasn't done what they claim the most bare minimum feminist act of not wearing makeup, what are you guys doing? I don't see you guys helping promote legislation. I don't see you guys writing letters. I don't see you guys planning demonstrations. I don't see you guys creating spaces in the real world for women. I don't see you guys organizing for drives to help, homeless lesbian women, whatever thing you want to center. Mary Jane, you ever come on my channel and scold me how I'm not a feminist, I will clown the shit out of you. I promise. Do it one more time. I will clown the shit out of you. I'll make a whole video about you, prancing around in your kitchen with your cleavage up to here with a full thing of makeup doing, American Sign Language to like pop songs. And you're going to sit here and tell me how because I wear some makeup that I'm not a feminist. Like I haven't dedicated my life to women. Bro, get out of here. Scram. Beat it. Keep commenting on other people's videos, but get out of here. Dragon Fox? Bro, I could literally pull up a whole bunch of screenshots that are going to make you look pretty bad, okay? So I don't even want to hear it from you. So, Lisa Michelle, Radical Ramblings, Dragon Fox, and fucking Mary Jane, all decided to try to clown me because I said that being a mother is harder and has more complex needs than being a lesbian, in response to somebody else who said that being a lesbian is far more, looked at harder than being a mother and has so many more obstacles in culture. And I was like, that's not true. And they're all like, yeah, ha ha ha, that's the point, duh. We know being a mother is hard. That's the point. Yeah, that's why feminism should center it, dipshits. Because there's issues that need to be resolved. It's not just don't be a mother or, oh yeah, fuck all the women. 80% of the women who are mothers. What cool feminism, guys. Cool praxis, guys. Cool theory, guys. Yo, and I really think that some of it is just pure laziness. Just because I say that there's things that we need to do to improve the lives of mothers doesn't mean that mothers don't serve such an important function. You guys all live off of our free labor. Yo, if you're really against mothers, then I don't want you to ever in your life do anything that exploits the free labor of mothers, which means don't sit on that couch. Don't you dare go to the dentist. Don't you drive that car. You need to log off the internet. I don't want to see you at the grocery store ever again. You better plant your own seeds and you need to find them yourself. Don't you dare go buy them off the internet. Take those shoes off. Take those clothes off, because everything you touch, everything you do is the result of the unpaid labor of a mother who raised whoever it was who created the thing that you're using. That dentist, she was supported for 18 years of the unpaid labor off the back of a mother. You want to sit here and talk about how mothers aren't important? Good. Don't you fucking dare go to the dentist. Don't you dare sit there and benefit from the unpaid labor and unpaid wages of a mother and then sit there and say that they shouldn't be supported in feminism. You fake. Just don't. Okay? Don't. Or if you want to get humble and recognize how much your life is improved and your life is directly impacted by the free, unpaid labor of women who are mothers, then humble up, sweetheart, and get on board. You're not a mother. Dragon Fox, you're not a mother. Mary Jane, you're not a mother. Radical Ramblings, you're not a mother. Lisa Michelle, you never mention your mother, yet you sit there and you pedestalize your father, but you're a separatist, right? Interesting how that works. Real interesting how that works. What about your mom? She's always in the background cooking. You don't even acknowledge her. Is that what it is? Do you hate your mom? I'll let you unpack that for yourself. But since none of y'all are mothers and none of y'all know what the fuck you're talking about, you might be wise to go and listen to somebody like me, who is not only a mother 4 times over, but I have served hundreds of families. Hundreds. Up and down the entire Northeast, in New York City, in North Jersey, in Philadelphia, in the greater Philadelphia area, in the Philippines. I have served mothers across the world. So if you actually want to call yourself a feminist, which I really don't believe any of you are, because as far as your feminist action goes, it's you not wearing makeup. And it's only so far as we know. We don't know what any of you guys do. You guys treat makeup, not wearing makeup, as like the uniform. How about somebody like Kara Dansky, who's still wearing makeup? She's not even on here squabbling because she's too busy getting shit done in the real world. She's not even in here worried about any of this discourse because she's actually doing something. You guys, Radical Ramblings has a Tumblr addiction. You're 33 years old and you're still talking about Tumblr. Come on, bro. You guys all live with your parents. Fuck out of here. Come on, bro. Fuck out of here. But you all want to gang up on me. I will take all of you at once, and we could really do this. If you want to sit there, you want to debate, you want to come at me, you needed to team up. I don't blame you. I would team up against me too. Because Lisa Michelle, it took me 7 months to eclipse your subscriber count. Now what's really good? But see, that's the sort of competition that I get into. I don't feel the need to sit. I just do better. So, I can see why you teamed up. Mandy, I don't want to be an unpaid servant, so I'm afraid to be a mother. It's not really a rough deal, because you know what? My mother is so fucking set. We are 3 adults who are. My sister's a lawyer. Okay, my sister, who's my neighbor, again, and it's different. My sister's a lawyer. My sister is just, we're super high energy people. Okay? Motherhood is a very front-loaded job. If you bust your ass in the beginning. And again, I'm not afraid of hard work. I know some people are really terrified to work hard, and that is so characteristic of this generation. Whatever we can do that's the easiest, most convenient. Oh, it's too hard, it's too much. And Mandy, this isn't even about you, but whatever. We can do hard things. We can do hard things. Hard things isn't the problem. It's not so hard that we can't manage it. I raised 4 kids and I'm doing a channel. Everyone's like, oh, if you're a mother, then you won't be able to do anything else. Then why is it that I'm doing what all you guys do and I'm raising kids and I'm maintaining a house by myself? Come on. It's not that hard. I like hard work. I like the challenge. I'm energetic. I get up and I fucking get shit done, but I like it. I want to build. I busted my ass through college. I've busted my ass at everything I've done. I've had businesses. I was a new mother. I was pregnant. First of all, I was, 20 weeks pregnant when I was living in the Philippines, working at a high volume birth center, and I was managing, 5, 10 women a day. I was doing birth after birth after birth, and I was pregnant. But I'm not afraid to work hard. The hard work isn't the problem. It's when people put so many stumbling blocks in our way. When people always say, well, you chose to be a mom. Oh, you better not ask anything from us. But you're happy to sit there and benefit off the labor. How's that work? How's that work? No, see, motherhood is a very front-loaded job. I am happy to bust my ass, like my mother was happy to bust her ass, because then you have successful, well-adapted children. My brother works for my dad. My brother is the most successful employee in my father's firm. Oh, that investment paid the fuck off, I can assure you. That is paid off like tenfold. Okay? Being a mother, again, has been the springboard off of which everything I've ever done in my life. I was a mother at 23 years old. Had I not been a mother, I would have never been in Philippines delivering babies. I wouldn't even have a direction. I wouldn't have built what's it called? I would not have built my doula business. I was the #1 rated doula in the greater Philadelphia area for like 3 years straight. I was killing it. I had 2 little babies at home. I was charging, $1,800 a birth, plus anywhere from $650 to $1,000 for photography. And I was doing anywhere between 3 and 8 births a month. You do the math. And that was part-time, while my husband was working full-time, while I had children. You know why I was able to do that? Because I was in a midwifery community, and we used to share childcare responsibilities amongst ourselves. I had 4 different women whose houses I could drop my kids off at a moment's notice. Women who I served in their birth served me in mine. The doula that I had for my one son, I was her birth photographer and doula for her son. The mother or the midwife who I had trained with and whose birth that I attended came and did my placenta. We used to take care of each other. We had, that midwifery community that we had going on, what really fucked me up was when my marriage was going through it. Prior to that, we had a system and we centered mothers, so we took care of each other. We had each other. Every single month, we had a big community get together at our head midwife's house. And I mean, she's like the mother hen, and goddamn, she was a mean lady, but she was the best midwife probably on the East Coast. She taught me everything that I know. That lady made me cry so many times. made me feel so stupid so many times, was yelled at me so many times, and she made me such an excellent birth worker. She taught me everything I know. To this day, she's one of the greatest women I've ever worked with. We took care of each other. We never looked at a woman and said, oh, well, you chose that, you figure it out. And we thrived. The woman who came to my birth, my fourth daughter, has 8 children, and she is a full-time midwife. We have systems. We have so many women. I mean, God, when one of us loses a baby, we had 2 horrible community losses of women losing young children to these congenital issues. You know, totally just kind of freak stuff. My God, the way that community came together. We did meal trains. We would share in taking care of her other kids when they were like, she just needed help. We would go over there. I used to go over there every single Friday and do laundry for one woman who had just had her 3rd baby. And I would do photos for her just for fun, because she deserved it. We took care of each other. Looking at women and saying, well, you know what, you don't deserve to be helped, is some fucking bullshit. Lesbian-centered feminism is so important, and I will continue to fight for it. I will continue, and I'm not the one to set what you guys need, but you guys inform me, and I will amplify whatever that message is. When you guys told me that it was a problem, that too many, Tims were on the dating sites and stuff like that, and they were coercing you, I took that to task. When you guys told me that you guys were being called transphobic for saying that you didn't want to accept the penis, I took that to task. I will fight for you. I will fight for you. And I've been fighting for you. I will continue to fight for you. You let me know what you need. You got it. You already got it. You already know. I will fight for you. It's not about whose struggle is more important or whose whatever. We need to specialize. Black women can tell us what black women need. I can't do that. But I need you. I need you to teach me, because I have a daughter who presents as black. I need you to show. Please, God, tell me whatever. Teach me so that I can amplify it, so that I can fight for it, so I can fight for her. But that's why I need you. That's why her godmother, my best friend, is a black woman. And that was by design. I said, I need you. There are going to be things that I don't know that she's going to need. And I need you. We can't raise children alone. We can't do a lot of these things alone. That's why you're her godmother, because she's going to need you in ways. Ella, oh my God, speaking of nursing toddlers, my youngest, every once in a while will nurse. She's 4 also. And it's just so funny because a nurse, something about a nursing toddler. She'll go, hi, meepy, like poke your boobs and stuff. I mean, she loves. Mandy, thanks for being here. Yeah, nursing toddlers are funny. A nursing toddler when you see it. It's so good to nurse in front. It's so good to breastfeed in front of your children. Breastfeed openly, not just in front of your children, other children. Children should see that breasts are for feeding babies. So many kids are so creeped out and weirded out when they see a mother nursing, because they're like, oh, isn't that bad? Shouldn't you cover up? It is so good for kids and babies to see women nursing, especially boys, young very young babies. My boys, and I've talked about this before, grew up seeing me nurse children, seeing me nurse babies. As far as they know, that's what breasts are for. Breasts are not sex objects to them. They're simply for nursing babies. When we teach our children early what our bodies are for, what they can do. All of my kids, my oldest son has seen every one of his siblings born. He knows that what my body is for. My body is for bringing life into this world. It's for hugging them. It's for running. It's for building things. It's for creating. Mothers can change the world. You're not going to continue to diminish and dismiss and treat us like we're just an insignificant burden, because that tells more about your patriarchal programming than anything else. Because in a patriarchy, the reason why, it's like in India, a woman, this is like the dowry system. They need to convince you that taking on a woman is a burden, and taking on, her children is a burden. And that's what convinces women to compete for men rather than the other way around. If we teach women that they're the prize, and that them giving children to the world is an absolute profound gift that we should all hold to such a high, precious value, then women will know that any man that they give that to, it's an honor. So he should compete for me. He should prove to me. He should make sure to uphold his part. That is patriarchal programming. When you sit there and treat mothers as though they're a burden, or that they're valueless, or that they're worthless, that was a move the patriarchy came up with to make sure that women are mentally enslaved into thinking that as if they are not the prize, as if what they bring to this earth is not the greatest thing in the world, a legacy for a man, a legacy, children who can do great things as they grow. These are not going to be babies forever. They won't be babies forever. They will grow, and if you do it strongly, and if you put in the work early, children can grow and do remarkable things. Remarkable things. That is an investment. No, I'm fucking done with just politely tolerating being told that motherhood is some sort of worthless burden. Maple, not saying all little girls will become mothers, but if they do, it's important to give them skills they need to breastfeed. My daughters breastfed all of their baby dolls and baby wore their baby dolls. I sewed them little baby carriers, and they would put all their baby dolls in and breastfeed them. Rather than having little girls sit there and play with makeup, not just my girls play with my boys pretended to breastfeed my baby dolls when they were little tiny babies. They would breastfeed their baby dolls. I have pictures of my son doing. I have pictures of my son baby carrying. He knew how to do a traditional Peruvian wrap for his baby doll and carry his baby on his back. TPS says, a friend of mine nursed until 5. Different, healthier culture. I love attending mass with non-Western priests. They value family and don't give side-eye to singing babies and breastfeeding. Babies were always permitted. Do you know, even when I was working in the Philippines at the birth center, I was allowed to bring my kids to births. It was just so the culture. My sons saw so many births from the time that he was 2 years old. He used to come with me and do prenatals, and he would help me, and the moms would think it was cute. And I've always asked permission, but they were always like, oh yeah, allow him. And I would let him try to do the Doppler and stuff. When he was little, he was 2. We always had children running around in the birth center, so we could work. I could be a mother and work. I could bring my children to work. There was a playground right outside. And a lot of the mothers who had to travel, and my kids would play with her kids. Our children would play together. When we build a society that supports mothers, we build a society that supports the entire world. build a society that supports the entire world. We make sure that every child is built into a supportive, tight-knit community. When children are seen as the common responsibility to all people. It's not about just so that you can just get off with not having responsibilities. In general, we as people, we have a responsibility. This hyper-individualism. That's why we're with this troon shit, guys. Lisa Fenwick, but don't let me take away the joy of motherhood. It just never interested me. Lisa, we need women like you. I really believe that there's a reason why there are women who don't want to. Lisa, we need women who are represented in every area. If all of us wanted to be mothers, then how the hell would we have female representation in law and in art and in culture and in activism? Like I said, as a mother, yeah, I can do some of the stuff part-time. Even if I had made it through law school like I'd wanted, I was never going to be able to be like a real hardcore lawyer because I already have children. I already have a life. We need women who are going to forego motherhood because you guys will represent us. You will represent all women in all sectors of society. It is so important. It is so, like I said, it is so important that, and again, rather than just every woman just, being strapped with a baby regardless of if she really wants it or not, let the women who truly want motherhood. I mean, I wanted motherhood in every way. I breastfed my kids for 3-4 years each. I baby wore them. I cloth diapered them. I mean, I wanted it all. I wanted to do everything. I made food. I made homemade baby food. All of it. But I enjoyed. That was me. That was joy. That was, I wanted, I can't tell you how many parenting books I've read. So that every child that's born is born with great intention, great care, great want. And so that women who don't feel that way can go on to, you guys, some people might find this offensive, and I don't mean this in an offensive way. I believe that every woman has a spirit of a mother. And again, if you think it's offensive, maybe it comes from like a deep, again, disgust or hatred of mothers, or, that we see mothers as so valueless and that it would be offensive. But let me explain. I think that every single woman has the spirit of a mother, and it manifests in different ways. For some women, that's loving their students. For some women, that is loving their patients that they take care of. For some women, that's loving the earth, or it's loving animals, or it's loving people who are addicted and desperate. There's a reason that we don't kill the way that men do, because I really believe that we create, and that is in all of us. We don't need to birth. We don't need to parent specifically to possess that. We are all have a spirit of a mother, and we manifest it powerfully in so many different ways, whether it's in what we create, what we build, what we do for others, how we love others, how we care for others. And that's not a bad, that's, and if that should be a powerful, beautiful, wonderful thing that we embrace. And that's another place where I just feel like sometimes feminism can get too close to transgenderism, where it's like a hatred for certain things that are fundamentally female. Feminine just means things that are not everything that is feminine or femininity was imposed upon us. Some of it is of our own creation. Some of it is of our own nature. You can't say that men are more aggressive and violent, and that's specific to men in a way that is not specific to women, and not say that there is some sort of feminine masculine dichotomy. And it's not a bad thing. I think it's beautiful. I think that there is this beautiful balance of both. And I don't hate men. And I hate whatever dysfunction that has happened in our earth and in our humanity that has caused violence and caused us to fall out. And that's why I think separatism is a pause, but it's a pause to give us time so that we can resolve whatever it is that's hurting us. Oh, am I quoting oh my God, you guys. And you know what? There's like something I really want to get into, okay? And I'm not Christian. And I was like loosely raised Catholic. My parents like didn't really care about religion. Hey, Jaleesa. I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. I believe that there is a biological basis for male aggression too. However, I think that how it's manifested is very culturally impacted. I don't think that warriorship is negative. But I think that when we try to, again, this is where I think liberal feminism goes wrong. Saying that men and women are equal. Almost to mean that men and women are interchangeable and that they should be interchangeable. And I don't know. They're not. All right, here's something that's really interesting. Men, we are dimorphic in more ways than we realize. Men have very good far vision. So they have very good far-sighted vision. They can see far away. Women have excellent peripheral vision. Think about how we work together. Men can see far, we see to the sides. You put those together, that's power. Men, when you think in terms of like heterosexual dynamics, men are, sexually externalized, whereas women sexually internalize. Men go out, women take in. This isn't bad. It's not degrading. And despite some of these fucking disgusting analyses I've listened to from some of these Tumblr rad femmes saying, oh, heterosexuality is disgusting and it's degrading to a woman. It's not degrading to take in, but it's degrading to be like forced in. Absolutely. But to take in, no. There's a beauty and a symbiosis to it. And I just can't understand how you could benefit from having such an excellent relationship with your father and yet deny that could or should be possible for anybody else. How fucking dare you? And then you log off after you sit there and you've spit all this bullshit and then go enjoy time with your father. But you don't want that for other girls? You don't want that for other children? You don't want that for other family units? Huh? That's just disingenuous and that's just fake shit. That's just like stunting for the gram. That's just putting on just to be cool with the other fans. That's political lesbianism. That's, again, political lesbianism is just trying to be something so you can get clout. There's a lot of women in this movement who I know for a fact bullshit about being lesbians who are like bisexual. And it's like it's not even worth calling out, even more than the Benji thing. Benji's a bisexual woman, and you're sitting here saying that you refuse to center bisexual women. What the fuck are you talking about? It's okay. Be you. Stop being so fake to be cool. How are you going to sit there and benefit from what you have described as a beautiful, healthy, mutually respectful, beneficial relationship with your father? And then go and spew that that's impossible or undesirable for anybody else. Come on, just stop with the fake shit. Oh God, guys. Men need to channel. See, this is where like hating men and hating their masculinity is so bad. What Leslie Farrington says, men need to have opportunities to channel their aggressive tutorial urges. Where there is no outlet, trouble happens. Leslie, I literally had like a 3-hour conversation with my boyfriend about this. He's from inner city West Philadelphia. He grew up very poor. He grew up in a black community. He's very light skinned. He's like they call him white boy. He's very white. He's very light skinned, but he grew up like culturally black, culturally surrounded, in a very, very almost like Philadelphia is one of the blackest cities in America. And it is so heartbreaking. You see these young, intelligent, beautiful, very like athletic young black men in West Philadelphia, and they are slaughtering each other. And he was on that path at one point. He was groomed. I have a whole video about him. If anyone's interested in my boyfriend's story, has a very profound story. I mean, it's very moving. I'm very inspired by him and moved by his story. And he's a really intelligent, wise person. He dropped out of school in the 8th grade. He has no education. He's deeply intelligent, very wise. Learn a lot from him. We learn a lot from each other. And for everybody who was like, oh yeah, your boyfriend's never going to care about your feminism, who do you think I talk about this with? Who do you think I soundboard to? My boyfriend. I talk more to my boyfriend about feminism than I do to this entire channel. So much of my idea development is done with him. And he just lets me just rant. Just rant. I'm like, oh, if this, he's like, I know, I love listening to you, like, just flow, because I just makes me think about it. Feminism is good for men too. But like Leslie, like you were saying, it's like when we try to deny a certain nature of men and women, and again, there's going to be the no true Scotsman fallacy. When we say that there's a nature of men, and I think this is where it's like, that there are men who don't meet this nature doesn't mean we reject them or invalidate them, but we don't need to reject or invalidate the vast majority of men who do possess a certain warriorship nature just because of the existence of effeminate men or homosexual men or whatever, right? We don't need to invalidate. We can speak to, that's why I think specialization is so important. It's important that I specialize my feminism to mothers. It's important that lesbian women specialize their, we've got to stop talking for each other. But what I've seen in like the whole West Philadelphia thing is they are these young kids and they are athletic. I mean, my God, his son, my boyfriend has a son who is 13 years old, just turned 13, but when he was 12, he has a size 15 shoe. He is 6'2" and 240 pounds. He is a grown man at the age of 13. My son has the same size shoe as me. And I'm tall. I wear a 9.5 in women's. We have the same size shoe. My son is 11. One thing I can say about having raised boys and girls, from the time my girls could sit down and do a puzzle together, and they could sit down and play. And they could sit down and, Benji's bi. She's bisexual. She was a trans man for 7 years and only had relationships with men. That's fine, but stop being fake. Whatever. And stop using it as like, again, it's like this whole, like, that's political lesbianism. Using lesbianism as like status and some sort of pecking order. And it's our patriarchal programming to want to create a hierarchy. We don't need a hierarchy in feminism. Enough. The whole gold star lesbian is like the ultimate, the ultimate feminist. Stop it, That's patriarchal programming. You gotta let that shit go. But what was I gonna say? From raising boys and raising girls, my boys they always needed so much more movement. And so I enrolled my sons, and I read a lot of books about boys. And you don't want to fight against this nature. You want to nurture it. A lot of boys have a lot of problems in school, especially early on. Because the way that school is set up, and especially if you look at preschools, it's almost entirely, It's almost entirely women who teach preschool, right? So when you have a lot of women, and they're creating an environment that's, reflecting, that's really best for girls. And it's a very feminine environment. And my girls could sit and they could play puzzles. They develop verbal skills so much earlier. My daughter's verbal skills were insane. Even at the time, she started saying dropping words at like 6 months, 7 months. It was like weird. I was like, the fuck? Is she talking? It was like creepy. I was like, whoa, I think she said bear. I was like, I swear to God, I think she said bear. I'm not even trying to be like the mom who's like delusional about how advanced her kid is. It's like, I swear. Literally by the time she was 12 months old, she was like stringing together sentences. Her verbal skills were like off the chain. My son was walking and practically running by 9 months. Crazy. It was my girls weren't walking until they were like 15 months. I was like, all right, get up. Like, come on. You guys need to like start going. But so my point is so I learned all this stuff about how boys that like schooling is not really set up to optimize what boys need. Boys literally, they found, have a physiological need for gross motor movement to stimulate learning. That it literally causes psychological distress if they can't move and run and wrestle. And wrestling is very important. When we stop our boys from like fighting, my boys wrestle and fight with each other all day long. As long as they're not like screaming or getting hurt, like I let them go. Why? Wrestling is so important, and wrestling with a parent is so important because they learn boundaries that way. They learn that you can't go that far or else the person's going to stop the game and say, no, ow, you're that hurts. Or they're going to call mom and you're going to get in trouble. You start to learn boundaries, how you can move. And boys, so much of it's like it's this physicality, whereas my girls will sit and can just play little games together. And I don't influence that. I don't care. I'm not like, oh no, girls, don't get... My girls, I let them roll around in the mud. They dig up for worms. I mean, they get so dirty. They're in the garden with me. They're running around. They wrestle. I try to wrestle with the girls because I think wrestling is good for all kids. But boys really do have a different level of physicality. From the time that they were babies. Fuck, I gotta go. What was I gonna say? What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so I really agree. So anyway, so I ended up signing up my boys for a special kindergarten. It was a pilot program, and it was a forest kindergarten, and their kindergarten was in the woods. It was part of a what's it called? Waldorf program. They didn't have a physical classroom. The only thing that would preclude them from being out in the woods was if it was lightning and thundering. It didn't matter if it was snowing, if it was raining, if it was cold, if it was hot. They would go, and every day they would set this whole like camp stuff on a wagon, pull it up, and they had this long complex list of like gear that they had to have. They had to have wool underwear, wool long johns. They had to have like, these like rain suits. They had to have boots, like thermal boots, all this sort of stuff. And every single day they would go up to the woods. They would build a campfire. They would climb trees, and the teachers were instructed to give them a lot of leeway. They would climb trees. They would build fires. They would, go fishing. They would camp, and it was right across the street from a dairy farm. So every Tuesday they would go over and feed the cows. They watched a cow be born. That was one of the greatest things I felt like I could have done for my sons. When we teach people that their nature is bad, and even in this whole thing of like teaching, again, saying that like, heterosexual women are wrong for being attracted to men, work with the nature of human beings. No, human beings can't change sex. No, human beings are not, what is it called? Like, can't reproduce asexually. Pathogenesis is a ridiculous idea. Okay, there are so many children in the world who are needed. Again, having a child is not a birthright. If you're homosexual and you can't reproduce with your partner, then you really want to be a parent, you can access parenthood in other ways. But no, sorry, developing pathogenesis is ridiculous. The same way that surrogacy is ridiculous and wrong. The same way that all these complex, hardcore interventions for, fertility, I think is wrong. The same way that storing a bunch of frozen embryos so that, couples who are infertile can keep trying over and over, I think is wrong. And then throwing them out afterwards? Guys, when we start to try to get overuse our technology, it's the same way when I see families, these hardcore Christian families who will use all this hardcore technology to keep critically ill infants alive who would otherwise have like passed peacefully. Is that really a loving choice, or is that a selfish one? You know, the further we diverge off, again, it's the same way that the more we make our economy globalized, it's been a huge problem. Keep local, keep within the realm of our humanity. You know, use separatism as a pause, but encourage and support successful familyships, rebuild the kinship. You know, if anything, I feel like my family it's on its way to restoring the extended family. When my parents moved here, it was just them. It was my mom and my dad in the house, and I saw how they all suffered. We didn't have cousins. We didn't have brothers. You know, they didn't have brothers and sisters who lived close by. Our mom and dad, they were out of state. It was really hard. Now that it's us, guess what? My sister, my brother, and I all live under 10 minutes from the house we grew up in, where my parents are. I can walk to my sister's house. I can ride my bike to my brother's house. My kids ride on the bus with my sister's children. We do everything together. If I really need help, my sister's there. There's been times when like I really was going through it, or I was like, you know, upset about something, and I didn't want my kids to see me so upset, and I was like, can the kids just come over to your house like off the bus? You know, I'm like dealing with something. She's like, yeah, absolutely, and vice versa. That's how we keep ourselves safe and protected, right? My father is such a good grandfather. To say that all men are dangerous, and another insane fucking stupid thing that I keep seeing on Lisa fucking Michelle's dumbass shit. I'm sorry, I'm like getting mad at this point because I just really it's getting stupid. This whole idea, I parent with another woman. I live with another woman and my children, okay? I don't live with my boyfriend. However, the idea that all women should just raise children with other women, how the fuck does that make sense? So you're basically saying that women should share amongst themselves 100% of the responsibility, and men should just deposit their sperm and leave and take with them all of their resources, all of their capital, all of their input. Huh? We know what mass single motherhood looks like on a larger scale, and it looks like hell. So many of the boys who are the most out of control in West Philadelphia, in the inner city where Hakeem grew up, are impacted by fatherlessness. One of the things I always say that made Hakeem just such like a different, like old school, like just good type of man is because it's horrible as it was, you know, he was surrounded by older men from his community growing up. And I mean, you can just tell a man who has been mentored by other men, good men, that is just such a different caliber of man. But unfortunately, a man who's grown up with only like his mother, again, if a mother is overly nurturing and she lets him get away with things and she doesn't hold him to a certain standard, fathers and mothers bring different things to the table. You cannot sit there and talk about male nature and how specifically dangerous men are and how men have these specific characteristics and then claim that mothers and fathers can't bring different things to the tables for children. We either are different or we're not. And if we're not different, then men aren't dangerous. And there's no different than being with a man than just being in a lesbian relationship. If we are different, then we need to look at the ways that we are, that they bring good things. And how to optimize children's access to that. Feminism is not just for child-free, single adult women. Feminism is for little girls too. And guess what? Little girls need fathers. Just like you needed your father, Lisa. Just like at a 45-year-old woman, you still enjoy that relationship. So, instead of working so hard against it, let's figure out how more girls can enjoy the sort of fatherhood that you enjoyed. And let's help women who are going to be mothers make sure that they choose great men like your father and like my father, so that they can benefit the way we both benefited. And so that they don't make the mistakes that I made when I chose my husband. I love my kids. I wish I had given them a better father. And had I had women who really understood these red flags, I will be able to see them for my daughters. I will be able to see the red flags. My mom couldn't recognize that shit. My parents have been together since they were like 16 years old. My father's phenomenal. She hit the jackpot the first time. They were great for each other. But they bust their ass for this life. They bust their ass for each other. They work on... I've never in my life heard about infidelity between my parents, ever. My dad, even when my mom was like being annoying, and I'm like... And he would still take her side, and it would drive me crazy. But it's good. If I had more women who could like recognize these things, who would have intervened and say, Britt, like this is a red flag. If I had family living literally amongst us, he would have never put his hands on me. And I would have just seen that he was a dick, and I would have made him leave or whatever. Again, domestic violence is a choice. It's not like they black out. They know when to put their hands on you, and it's when other people aren't around. And that's why they like to isolate you from your family and stuff, because when people are too involved, it makes it real hard to abuse you. Makes it real hard to abuse a woman when she's just got so many layers of family, when it would be so easy for her to take all of her shit and leave. Or would it be so easy for them to get you out? The reason why abusers love to isolate women. That's why we've got to rebuild these complex, multi-layered systems to support women. If you're not on board with that, you're not a feminist. You're what's the term that you love to use? A self-described feminist. Anyway, I gotta go make dinner. I love you guys. Lisa said, I'm poly. No, I'm not poly. What? No. I don't have my boyfriend live with us because my children are not his children. I don't think it's appropriate for a man who is not biologically related to my children to live with us. They benefit from their relationship with him. They spend time with him. Especially, he's taken my boys under his wing a lot. He takes them, does things with them. So much of why I love him is his interest and commitment in being like a fatherly figure to my kids. And he does an excellent job with that, and he is phenomenal. He is not their biological father. I have a responsibility to protect my children. He may be the greatest guy in the world, but that's not a risk that I am allowed to take as a mother. I'm not allowed to just hope that my judgment is right. My judgment has been wrong in the past when I chose their father. I can't trust my judgment now. I've been with him for 4.5 years. Those 4.5 years have been wonderful. I don't have the right to move him into my house until they're old enough that whatever. While they're little, this space has to be protected. And my girlfriend who lives here too, she knows her boyfriend's not allowed to stay over. We have strict rules about that. These kids need to be safe. So sometimes part of me is like, oh, you know what? It's been long enough. And it took a long time for me to even allow him to meet them. And as much as part of me, I can't trust my judgment. I can't trust my judgment to be like, no, I think it's fine now. I've been wrong in the past. And even if he is great and he's been great, I love him. And it doesn't mean that he doesn't have, access to do things with us or participate in our lives. But there's just boundaries, and that's just how it has to be. Anyway. Okay. I love you guys. I'm really tired. I promise I'm going to read through all of these. I'm like scared to read the chat a little bit. But, alright. I love you guys. I'll get back to making like real content soon. We'll make fun of some troons to lighten up the mood. Everybody likes to make fun of a good troon now and again, you know what I mean? Betty Q said that's generally radical. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Alright, guys. to everyone who's been supportive of me and everyone who's been kind to me, and particularly the Instagram community, and I've said this to you guys a lot, who have been patient with me while I learn and guys, listen, and I'm going to make this clear. This time last year, I didn't know what radical feminism was. I learned about radical feminism in October of 2021. That is the first time I ever heard that term. Okay. Had the radical feminist community been more patient with me, allowed me time to digest and develop, and again, I'm not a sheep, so I'm not just going to have someone tell me something. I'm like, oh, okay, great. I want to do whatever I can to fit in here. Let me jump on board. Had you allowed me time to sit and digest, I might have, been more receptive. The ways that I was attacked and sexually degraded and just talked to, I haven't been talked to like that in a long time. Let's give people more space to learn. That's all. Also, just, if you're going to come for me, compete with me. If you're going to come for me, just let's compete with each other's core things. We don't need to continuously sub each other. We don't need to continuously whatever. I'm not perfect. I'm sure there's things to check me on, all of it. And it's all good and fine. And for the community, I do not want any of you to feel like you have to choose. You don't have to prove your loyalty to me by shit talking. I'm not 12, guys. I hope you continue to support these other creators. I think some of them are very young. Lisa, I hold at the highest responsibility. She's too old to be doing a lot of the corny shit that she's doing. She's acting like a child. And I do think that there's things that have gone on with her that have stunted her emotional development, and I'll leave it at that. But I think Benji's super young. Actually, I thought Radical Ramblings was 23. She's my age, which she needs to get the fuck off of Tumblr. Stop interacting with 16-year-olds. Level up a little bit, guys. You guys don't have to choose. I don't want anyone to unsubscribe from anybody. I don't want anyone to stop. I just you're gonna come from me I'm going to say something. I'm going to do something. I'm not, I don't like people trying to intimidate me. I'm not, that shit doesn't, because the thing is, none of y'all would do that to my face. None of y'all would do that to my face. I'm a confrontational ass person, and I have a strong energy. And what I bring, I keep with all the time. But I'm not a bully either. I'm not a bully. You see me, if I really wanted to be a bully, I would have grabbed Vanessa Voki and Ella Androphobia and had, a whole live stream and just clown the shit out of all of y'all. Be like, yeah, look, I'm not a cornball though. I'm not, so the fact that you guys want to team up, that's cool. I can handle all four of you at once. That just makes it easier. But keep making good work. Lisa, your essay style work is fucking phenomenal. As somebody who just tried to do a written essay video, I gained a whole newfound respect for your ability to write, execute, and deliver an essay style video. Your work is phenomenal. Okay, I think your gender critical work is so profound. As much as you annoy the shit out of me. Even when I came back and watched that one little short you did about Leah Thomas, it was a mic drop. In 60 seconds, you shut down the whole conversation about Leah Thomas in one short video. Your work is good. You are smart. You can do good things. Stop acting like a child. You're too old for that shit. And stop being fake. You're not helping anybody. Benji, your life experience is so crucial, and I like the long form style of your videos, your conversations. They're really honest. They get into a lot of things that I've never thought about. It's really interesting. I like it. Radical Ramblings, honestly, I always thought your work kind of was not very interesting or good. I'm just being like 100%. Even before I made a channel, I used to try to get into the work, and I used to follow you, and I was like, it just seems so just snipey and childish and petty. And it's like, you gotta, whatever hurt it is, whatever bisexual woman hurt you and then started dating a man, you gotta let that go, because that permeates literally almost everything you do. Gotta let that shit go. You gotta stay off of Tumblr too. It's just corny. But I haven't listened to you for a while, so I can't. No offense. Who else is there? That's it. So, but yeah, I've listened. Keep making work. Just keep. I don't know. I feel like I should say something good. I'm sorry. Lisa, I loved Lisa's work. Before I oh my God, when she first shouted me out, I was so excited. I just when she's in her element, she's so good. It's like my ex-husband. When he was in his element, he was like, God, he was amazing. It was amazing to watch what he was capable of. But then he would just do all this dumb shit. Like, stop detracting. Judy C. Lisa's made great essay videos. She made amazing essay videos. And not only has she made good essay videos, it's just, they're so good. They're so, just concise, and they're clear. And it's like anyone could just take them and digest them. And you don't have to have all this experience with the community to understand what she's trying to say. I don't know how the hell she's able to read and look into the camera at the same time. I literally, the whole time, I was low-key bitter. I was so frustrated trying to... I did that so many takes. Somebody was like, oh, you look so tired in that video. That's because I was up until 1 a.m. trying to fucking film that dumbass essay video. And I was trying to make it look natural. It didn't look natural. I was so frustrated. I kept being like, how the fuck does Lisa do this? How does she do it? I'm mad. Because she just does it. I thought it was going to be easier, and it's not. And she looks at the camera. I don't know if she memorizes it. It's really frustrating. She does a really good job. I don't know how she does it, but we need it. We need everybody. Oh God. All right, I gotta go. I love you guys. I love you guys. I'm out of here. I will read the chat later. I'm sorry I didn't engage with the chat more. I want to do more, Mechan Teton, whatever. I still can't pronounce it. I thought I had it down. I want to stream with you. I don't know how to get in touch with you other than Getter, and I have to reinstall Getter. I have to keep deleting stuff off my phone because I edit all my videos off my phone, and it takes up all my whatever. Get in touch with me, please. My email is aslightlytwistedfemale@gmail.com. I really want to do the makeup live stream with you. Also, I just got an email from Gender Mapper, Alex Aharon, who I respect, and I think she's phenomenal. Wanting to do a live stream, so that's coming. Me and Exelanzic have actually been working on coordinating a live stream, which obviously I'm gonna fangirl the whole time. She said she considers me a friend, guys, so I just want everyone to know that. I'm gonna get a tattoo that says Exelanzic says she's my friend, or I'm her friend. It's pretty amazing. All right, guys. Can your PC be a teleprompter? I don't know, probably. You guys also gotta realize everything I do is super DIY and bootleg, because I don't have time to sit there and polish stuff and do a really nice job. One of the things I read about me, and what was it on Kiwi Farms, it was yeah, she's her videos have been getting more popular, but her editing style is horribly inconsistent. I was yeah, that's kind of true. It's just because I don't always have time. Oh God. All right, I love you guys. I'm out of here. Thank you guys for the support. I appreciate you. Exelanzic's one of my favorite people ever. She's best. All right, I love you guys. Everything will be okay. All right, love you.